Hi there, this is Ricky Lindsay, joined alongside Eric Lehman and Jeremy Stover for our weekly Michigan football preview. The Wolverines face Penn State this weekend on Saturday. It's the big Under the Lights game, part three, third ever night game at Michigan Stadium, and we're going to be taking you through it. 2-4 Michigan versus 4-1 Penn State. Michigan's coming off a loss at Rutgers, third straight loss. Eric, what are your thoughts on the Wolverines?
The defense is definitely going to have to step up. They have a huge loss offensively with Derek Green being out. Hopefully, Jabril Peppers is able to play. Hopefully, Desmond Morgan can come back. Christian Hackenberg is a really good quarterback. I think is very underrated, and I expect him to come out and throw the ball all over the field. And because I personally don't believe Michigan's pass defense is good enough to stop him.
Okay, what about you, Jeremy?
I feel like their defense is going to have to step up. That's one way they're going to have to win. Their offense hasn't been playing good this year. Devin Gardner's look inconsistent, and like you said, with Derek Green out for the year, now it's down to Davion Smith. And if Justice Hayes or Drake Johnson can't step up, they're going to have problems again scoring the football.
You know, when I left the Michigan Minnesota game 2 weeks ago, I did not think it could get worse. Well, it did get worse throughout the week with all the turmoil throughout the program, and then especially with Derek Green's injury. I mean, that's really a shot in the arm. I mean, Derek Green has been playing really well this year. Like you said, they're going to have to find somebody that steps up, and Davion's been looking like that guy that can do that, but can he do that without having that tandem? Because that tandem does bring something that Michigan's wanted for a while, even though it hasn't really been successful. And looking at Christian Hackenberg, he's struggled over the past 2 weeks. Less than 250 passing yards per game. I know there's 170 some in there in one of those matchups, and he hasn't thrown a touchdown in over a month. September 16th was his last touchdown pass. So I'm predicting a pretty big game against Michigan's poor secondary for the young sophomore. Especially when Gary Nova puts up over 400 passing yards against the Michigan defense. Something that, the passing defense has been the struggle for Michigan, but defense, throughout has pretty much been a bright side of a poor offensive battle. What are you guys' thoughts?
The secondary has been pretty good along with the rest of the defense. The one thing the defense has to do better at, including the secondary, is get turnovers. Michigan has 2 interceptions this year, and that is tied at the very bottom of the NCAA with Georgia State and Eastern Michigan. So they have to cause turnovers, whether it's fumbles or interceptions. They have to get the offense the ball more because the offense just always throws it right back to the defense.
I agree. The defense has got to force some turnovers. Like Ricky said, Nova put up 404 yards on us. A Rutgers quarterback put up 404 yards, and Christian Hackenberg ripped us apart last year. Yeah, he had Allen Robinson, but we had virtually the same secondary minus one player. And now we had Jabril Peppers. If he can play, he's got to be a difference maker. And they got to get, but it starts up front. They got to get some pressure on the quarterback. They need to cause Hackenberg to get happy feet and flush him out of the pocket a little bit in order to create those turnovers, create an errant pass. That way, he struggles a little bit and he doesn't have all day to throw the ball where he can find open space because those receivers are going to get wide open against our secondary. It's just not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to start out front really with Frank Clark and the defensive line.
Okay. Guys, talking about predictions, let's start with Jeremy. What's your prediction for Saturday?
It's so tough to call with Michigan because they have the talent. They just haven't been able to put it together. Brady Hoke said this week that they haven't played their best game yet as a team, and I'm sure all of us agree with that. I do think Penn State will find a way to win the game. They're coming off a bye week where we're coming off another tough loss to Rutgers. And Penn State's definitely got the kicking advantage. Their kicker is 10 for 12 on the year, where ours is a little less better percentage than that. So I think Penn State's going to win 31-21.
Okay, what about you, Eric?
I think Christian Hackenberg is just going to rip our defense apart. I don't think we're going to be able to get the push defend the defensive line. I don't think our secondary is going to be able to hang. Our offense isn't going to look much better. They're going to put up a few points, but Penn State's got a pretty good defense too. So I think it's going to be 35-17, Penn State taking the win.
Okay. Here's my prediction. Michigan's going to be wearing those pretty sleek Adidas uniforms for that night. Should be a good one. I mean, I'm excited to see the photos that we can get out of there. That's definitely going to be something I'm looking for. But as far as a prediction, I don't see Michigan doing pretty well. I think the life has been sucked out of this team. I wasn't there last week, but you can sense with everything that was going on, the press conference, when Big Ten aired it, it looked a little hasty, and I think that's the kind of feeling around Wolverine Town right now. And I do think Hackenberg is going to tear Michigan apart again. Allen Robinson or not, last year he performed in the clutch on that last drive of overtime. The Penn State scored it and ended up tying up the game. He looked marvelous. Freshmen aren't supposed to look like that, and I think they're fifth or sixth game of the year of their career. I mean, that's unheralded for, and I do think he's the best quarterback in the Big Ten, and I think you're going to see that against a poor Michigan secondary. So I'm thinking Hackenberg is going to throw at least for 350 and maybe 3 or 4 touchdowns. I think he's going to just shred and have a field day with Michigan. He's got to be looking at this and being really happy because the defense has been struggling so much. As far as the score, I think it's going to be that's a tough one. I think it's going to be 42-17 Penn State. I don't see Michigan putting up many points. I did read a statistic that Jeremy had that Penn State has a pretty solid defense. Really hasn't played many top foes. Neither has Michigan, though. So it'll be interesting. But I think without Derek Green, Davion Smith's going to have to be the guy. Devin Gardner's going to have to be the guy. And I think it's just going to be too much for that offense to be able to handle. So any closing thoughts for you guys?
I have a couple. The running game is going to have to be big. They have only had a 100-yard rusher twice, and it was in both their wins. So that's obviously a big key to winning. And if you look at a big picture, this is a big game for Michigan. Being 2-4, you need 6 wins to be bowl eligible. If they don't win on Saturday night, they still have to go to Ohio State and Michigan State, which those are probably going to be 2 losses. And then if they lose to Penn State at home, that's 3 losses already in the Big Ten. Do you really see them beating Maryland, Indiana, who's played better, Northwestern, who's played better, obviously plus the 2 rivals. So this, big picture for the season, this is a huge game for Michigan if they want to make a bowl game.
Any other thoughts for you, Eric?
I agree. It's a huge game if Michigan wants to get bowl eligible. Personally, don't think they're going to be able to. It's a big game for Brady Hoke. I know he's most likely, out is what everybody's saying. But another loss here is just going to make Blue Nation just really upset. Everybody's already had it, and this might push a lot of people over the edge. And I think the few students that are there come middle of fourth quarter are going to be chanting some hurtful things down to the sideline. So I think this game is one that not only Brady Hoke but Michigan football in general needs to win.
Okay, I agree. I'm going to be there at Jeff Mel Live. We're going to be there around 6:30 p.m. So check for our coverage on Twitter as always and at the Michigan Journal. That's where you're going to be able to get the most up-to-date things. We'll keep you guys, a part of the game as best as we can. We're going to be hopefully trying out some new things too on our website. So be sure to check those out. But this is another Michigan football preview. Join alongside Jeremy Stover and Eric Lehman. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen.